We are excited to have Nkenge Barker join us today. She's going to share with us some insights about her career path, and a unique skill that she has. She is multilingual, so I want to explore, based on her experiences, how being multilingual has helped her career. So that's what she's going to share insights with us today on. But before we get started, I'm going to ask Nkenge to introduce herself, and then we'll dive right into our discussion today. Nkenge?
Hello, good day, everyone. I am so excited to be here to share with you all my experiences and how I arrived where I am since graduating college in 2001. So hopefully we'll get into that, my journey as a bilingual or multilingual professional.
Awesome. So Nkenge, my first question is, can you share with us a little bit about what is your current occupation and your educational background?
I will. So currently I am serving as an assistant principal in the great state of Maryland. I graduated from North Carolina A&T in 2001 with a degree in Romance Languages and Literature, Spanish. And I also had to take some French classes. So I ended up getting somewhat of a minor in French. And from there, since 2001, well, when I graduated in 2001, I went to work immediately in the field of education. I graduated in December, was working in January as a Spanish teacher and a French teacher. And then I went on to move to Maryland, where I was teaching as well. And then I ended up getting my master's in 2011 from Morgan State University in Education Administration and Supervision. And afterwards, immediately, I wanted to, because I knew that my trajectory was not just the classroom. I wanted to go move on to administration in those positions. So I actually applied to Middlebury College language schools, immediately graduating from Morgan, so I can be able to reach my parents and talk to them in their first language and just be more personal with the community that I will be serving, that I would have been serving. And then after Middlebury, I went on to continue to be a teacher. I worked in a capacity as department chair, curriculum writer, teacher mentor for other Spanish speaking teachers and other foreign language teachers, as well as, what else did I do? Oh, peer mediator, right? So I was doing that as well, helping teachers figure out where they want to go in life. So I did that. And so after all of that, I ended up being an assistant principal at a high school where 80% of the population is Spanish speaking. And so I do use my language skills every single day. I do not regret the path that I've taken. And I know a lot of people were saying, oh, you're a foreign language major, why? Or what else? What else are you doing besides studying a foreign language? So, and now I'm in a job that I wanted as part of my career path. And here I am serving as assistant principal, bilingual assistant principal.
That is awesome, awesome. And thank you for sharing. And if I heard you correctly, you said 80% of your population is Spanish speaking in your current job.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you started telling us, you share with us, you can speak Spanish, you can speak French. Are there any other languages that you're able to speak also?
Well, I like to call myself, I'm a polyglot, right? I love like a world life learner for foreign languages. It's just something that I have a passion for. So in addition to learning, I'm still learning. In addition to learning English, which is my native Spanish and French, I'm also learning my husband's native language, Swahili. And because I was learning that, I also had an interest in Turkish. So I'm currently like self-teaching myself Turkish. Swahili, I do, dibble and dabble when I talk to my husband and my in-laws, but Swahili, I'm also learning self-taught. I haven't had a formal class yet, but I think it comes in handy. And because I do speak Spanish, some of the words do overlap and I make connections and other things happen inside my brain as like I like to tell my scholars, learning a foreign language opens up your mind to other subjects because you get to see, the connection. So I do, so that is what I'm currently working on now in my personal and my professional life.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I wanted to ask you a question, and it's impressive. So you just share with us 4 other languages in addition to your native language of English. That's awesome. So my other question for you is, how has being multilingual helped you in your career?
So critical needs area, teaching a foreign language is, ever since I started teaching in 2002, has been a critical needs area. So I would say for me, I have like job stability, being a bilingual person and being able to
Absolutely.
actually teach a foreign language. So in that aspect, walking out of college, I wasn't one of those students who were looking for a job. The job found me. And I started immediately upon graduation, as I mentioned before. And so ever since then, even when I switched states, it was like they were seeking me and not me seeking them. So the doors were opening. And then in addition to having a teaching career, I also just recently, because I was bilingual, and you probably asked this later, I had the opportunity to be a Fulbright Scholar. It's something that I never thought I would ever become, because it's highly competitive. It's something like, oh, it's for those elite students, those 4.0 students, those students who achieve and discover things and create, projects. And here I am, and I received the Fulbright Hayes Scholarship Award in 2019. And I believe because I was able to speak the language of the country I was going to, I didn't miss out on anything. Like even all the subjects, the political side, the educational side, the culture side, I was able to be a part of all of that and not have to worry about the active learning side of the language because I was already actively using it.
That's awesome. And some of us might not have a good understanding of a Fulbright Scholar. So give us some insight. That sounds like it was a very unique, prestigious opportunity. So give us a little bit more detail about your experience as a Fulbright Scholar and how you told us how competitive that is.
A Fulbright Scholar is a person who is awarded an award from the government. It is a government-funded organization and program, and it's usually through higher learning educations, that education institutions that are targeting students in various subject areas. I had the opportunity to go with one of my alma maters, Morgan State University, as a Fulbright Hayes recipient, and we stayed in Colombia, Groups Projects Abroad Project, GPA. So because of the highly competitiveness, you have to put in all this application, your proposal, almost as if you're putting, I wouldn't say a dissertation, but you're putting together a project that would help society as a whole and locally. So keeping that in mind, in what we were doing in Colombia, it was a program that knowing starting when I come back, I needed to make an impact on my community locally and globally. So keeping that in mind, going to Colombia, having the language skills, I was able to go to different universities and study in different organizations, government organizations, whether they were a political organization or an educational one. I was able to glean information and bring it back to my home country to help in the education arena, of course. So it's almost a once in a lifetime award. A lot of students don't even know that it exists because they think it's beyond their reach. But and a lot of people, but like, I don't want to go because I don't speak the language or I don't know the culture or what have you. But because I did have some background, I was eager to apply for the scholarship, just I guess at a stab in the dark. And then all of a sudden the stab in the dark turned into the light. And I received the reward scholarship. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And I didn't have to worry about the learning of the language, as I said before, because learning the language in the process of trying to, understand it culturally, it can be a bit difficult. So for that aspect, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to study as a Fulbright Hayes Scholarship under the leadership of Morgan State University.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that is a very unique experience that your skill set, speaking another language, and your expertise afforded you. So that's awesome. So I want to ask you a question. What motivated you to continue developing your world or foreign language skills?
So as an educator in my field, it wasn't a lot of Black foreign language teachers. I was always a singleton. And then when my students got to me, they were in awe as well. But I realized early on that learning a foreign language, it helps, again, open up your mind to other subject areas, other perspectives, other cultures. It gives you a different perspective of the normal of the narrative that was put before you. So I tried to incorporate that in my educational field. So that actually kept me going, because every life that I taught, every student that came into my classroom, regardless of their color or their race or ethnicity, they were able to receive something from me and realize, hey, I can also speak a foreign language at 13, because I started at 13. Some people say if you don't start at 4 years old, you miss your opportunity. But I started at 13 and I continued and I continue. And even now, when I started learning Swahili, I was a full adult. So even I can still pick up on, the context and the grammar and stuff. So that's what keeps me going, seeing the light bulbs go off in students' heads, say, oh, wait, I too can also do this. They see themselves in me like, okay, it's hard, but it's doable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I feel like you've given us great advice about when you started learning your first foreign language at 13, you've mastered it, how you continue to learn other languages as an adult. What other advice would you give someone who's considering starting to learn a new language today, and any other benefits that you wanted to highlight that you haven't shared with us today about learning another language?
So I will say it's never too late to start. If you are able-bodied, if you are a sound mind, why not, right? Again, it gives you other opportunities, and it is hard. I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's an ongoing process. It's an everyday endeavor. It becomes part of your life. So when you make the language a part of your life and your personal culture, it's easier to grasp. So you have to seek out those opportunities to actually practice and learn, and embrace the beauty of making mistakes. We learn when we make mistakes. We learn in error. So, and I always say, I messed up, but then what did you learn from that, right? So always use your mistakes as a learning tool, even learning a foreign language and even in life. And I would tell younger people, I try to instill into my own children, because they're getting into the professional world, that to be bilingual, it sets you apart from all the other candidates. Because in my field, education, anyone can be a teacher at this point, right? If they have the credentials and if they learn. But then what sets you apart from everyone else, especially if you move up into administration? So there's lots of people who would like to be assistant principals and principals and district administrators, but what sets you apart, especially in your community, and if your community is a changing, diverse community, you want to be able to meet the needs of the people in your community. And as I said before, everyone wants to be spoken to in their first language. Everyone. You just feel the connection. Even we English speakers, I feel connected to those speakers who sometimes, when it comes out, because I am from the South, when my Southern accent comes out and someone say, oh, wait a minute, you have the same, it's a dialect, right? So it's like you feel that connection. So even making the connections in your personal and professional lives, it makes a difference when people can identify with you linguistically.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I can relate completely to that. So I have enjoyed our time together. That's really all the questions that I have today, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything else on this topic that you wanted to share with us that we haven't discussed yet?
I would like to say, as being a Black woman, and as mentioned this before, when I started, I was a singleton as far as representation matters. But we all know in our Black community, oftentimes we say we don't have the time to learn the foreign language, or we don't have the need to learn the foreign language. But again, setting yourself apart, making yourself more marketable by adding this foreign language, be it Spanish or German or French, Italian, Turkish, whatever it may be, it's just one thing more to set you apart from the other candidates, especially as a person of color.
Awesome, that's awesome. And I would just say, I love how you just mentioned this could be another skill set to set you apart from other people competing for different jobs. And that is awesome. And so I just want to say a huge thank you from us here at Growing Perspectives. We enjoyed hearing your journey. We're really excited to hear what's coming next for you. So we look forward to staying connected with you. So thank you one more time for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.